Welcome to Sports Trebuchet. I'm Marty.
I'm Kyle.
I'm Josh.
And this is probably our last recording in Studio Stonehaven.
Correct.
Yes, that's a true statement.
Yeah, Marty, me. I got a new position.
Marty.
I mean, some people. I feel like there's some podcasts I listen to where I can't recognize. Like, there's voices that are obviously different, but they never really ever introduce themselves, and it's like a midway through the series.
I feel like anybody that's listening to this gets a double dose of you a week.
I don't. Yeah, you think? Do you think? I don't think that there's a crossover. That much of a crossover.
Maybe. I don't know.
I don't think, if only because for Trebuchet, we absolutely have downloads somewhere randomly in Africa. I don't know why. It might just be a bot, but for the run pod option, for the run pod option, we never. Yeah, it's an Ethiopian bot that's downloading Sports Trebuchet, but no one in Africa downloads the run pod option.
That's true. Okay.
And we get a higher European demographic with Trebuchet too, for what that's worth.
That's probably because it was a superior siege weapon in that area.
That is true, right? They're going to be more. They're more familiar with trebuchets.
Got a lot more experience with trebuchets.
Yeah, it's
their blood.
There's a teacher in primary school trying to pull up like suggested listening on medieval forms of war, and they're just like, oh yeah, just look up something, and kids are just seeing trebuchet, and they're like, this must be it. Sports must have been the king's name.
or they're using
King Sport.
They're using European football as like a backdrop to describe wars from the Middle Ages. Sports trebuchet.
Possibly.
I mean, there's a lot of tactics with trebuchets, so it makes sense. So today's show is going to be the last one we record this year. Right, because holiday for Kyle, he's going to Disney World.
Not going to Disney World.
Disneyland.
Not going to Disneyland.
I think didn't he say
Universal Studios?
Yes.
But I think he said that his whole goal over there was to meet his best thing ever in Snow White, right?
No, it was
it not Snow White? It was his favorite princess.
No, he paid actually paid $3,000 more to meet a fake Harry Potter.
Oh, got you! It's Hermione.
Yeah, and there's $200 finder's fee for the Sorting Hat.
Got you.
I'm gonna draw like a lightning bolt on my forehead.
He's been working out because he's gonna beat the fuck out of Voldemort.
He's begging his wife to cut him in the forehead. Just like, take one of your heels.
Slash me.
Do it. It needs to happen naturally.
He got Hagrid. He's a giant.
So we have a giant show for you that's about professional wrestling, and we're going to do our kind of end of the year awards. We did this last year.
Yeah.
And it was one of our most popular shows, but also the one I got feedback on the most, that people really, really liked it. So,
is your feedback just me?
No. It was the guy. It was Jay who whipped your ass about the quiz.
Does he still listen to us?
I don't know, honestly.
I really don't. Dropped off the face of the earth. Jay, if you're there, can you just give us a call? Give us 3 rings, like you say.
Tweet us at Sports Trebuchet. Send us Morse code.
I think he ran away once I challenged him to a quiz off.
That's it. He hasn't responded since the quiz off.
That is true. So he definitely does not listen anymore. So Jay is gone.
Scared.
Because he would. I don't think he'd pass up on it. He hosts his own podcast. Have I told you that?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah.
Scared.
Yeah, he hosts his own podcast. Check him out too. It's called Partial Recall.
Why don't you give him a shout out if he just ran away?
It's a good podcast. It's called Partial Recall. It's about like nostalgia shit. So they'll be like, oh, let's talk about like summer trips when we were kids and how big of a beating they were, and they'll just talk about them for like an hour and a half.
Okay, boomer. You gonna restart because of that now?
No, I'm just trying to figure out where I go from here. Honestly, I'm trying to.
Well, let's start at the beginning.
Do you want to go to the awards, or do you want to? Okay.
Where did you want to go?
I don't know. We could fucking banter for 4 more minutes, Josh. Fuck.
Only 4.
It's literally been 4 minutes 20 seconds.
Do you want to whip my ass about Watford? I mean,
nice.
What sports team do you want to whip my ass about? You got the whole gamut.
No, I don't think we should. I'm taking this 2-1 win, and the Bears are playing tonight to keep themselves in the slimmest of contention of the playoffs. I'm keeping my fat mouth shut.
Well, Marty has no skins in the game. I don't know. Are you going to cheer for the Cowboys tonight against the Bears?
No, I won't. Honestly.
Okay.
No, because I think that if the Bears win, it's the best case for the Cowboys at large because Jason Garrett's a fucking clown.
wait until he makes the playoffs and goes to the NFC Championship. And
like my secret hope is that Jason Garrett is so bad that he convinces Jerry to sell the team, or like Jerry just like, you know what, that was my last coach. I'm going to micromanage. I'm also going to step down and give the reins to Steven.
To Spalding.
Even.
Is his last thing going to be like, all I do is get in here, hire a new manager, buy them some kits, sit in a corner and watch them die?
That's
and there's a pretty direct. It's the Cowboys in the playoffs and Kyle playing Rainbow Six Siege. It always ends up looking the same, but it always ends the same too. Or it might look different on a different level, but it always ends the same. So let's start with our top 3 matches of the year. Do you want to do round robin, kind of 1-1-1-1-1? Because I imagine there's probably going to be some repeats.
Sure.
And we didn't set any limit on if it's WWE only or whatever. It's just kind of whatever.
Yeah, no.
Mine all ended up being in the WWE family, so it's
so
pretty much like everybody. Yeah, so
AEW is way too new, and you know how I feel right now.
Yeah, the only time I actually, and we'll get to it towards the end of the show for the rest of the decade, is when I had someone that wasn't in WWE for 10 years because they were somewhere else. They're getting their ass beat in UFC.
Oh, well, I wonder who it is.
Spoiler alert. It was Jack Swagger. Kyle, you go first.
Okay, so I tried to stay away.
This is match number 3,
This is
right?
match number 3.
Okay, good.
Tried to stay away from recency bias, but I just couldn't. The men's War Games match that we just saw was my number 3.
Very fair.
Man, it was just so much fun. Kevin Owens coming out to the big pop.
Yeah.
The insane bump that Ciampa and Cole took off the top.
That was hard.
Top of the.
It was hard to watch.
It was really tough to watch, but
Yeah.
I mean, it was one of those matches that kept me on the tip of my toes. It was really.
Why did you say tip of your toes that
tip
way?
of my toes?
Is that even a phrase?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Is it? Tips of my toes.
Well, no, I feel like edge of the seat.
Edge of my seat, tip of my tongue.
Tip of my toes,
tips
I've
of my
heard,
toes.
but not in like a anticipatory way.
I was working on my calves, guys, while we were doing this. So I was.
He was doing like leg lifts. He was doing the toe raises.
No, it was really, really fun.
It was. It was also part of the weekend of the rise of Keith Lee.
It was.
As well, which is always...
Which has been wonderful.
Yeah.
And I enjoy basking in his glory.
Yeah.
Because he is
His theme is
limitless.
so great,
His
dude.
theme is an absolute banger.
Yeah.
Because I kind of hated it at first because I felt like it was too glorious adjacent.
It did feel
Because
a
it
little
kind of
bit
has the
like
same like the same pitch. And then last night actually is when I heard it and it sounded like distinct. I'm like, okay, cool. I hear where the
You're
snooze
unique
and-
enough now. You broke out.
I really, really enjoy the part of it where he goes, "For he is limitless."
He does kind of talk like that too.
Also,
What's in the
great
song?
shout out. Also, a great shout out to him popping up next to Cole last night. Made me cry laughing at the turnbuckle. Have you watched NXT yet?
I watched
All the way
some of
through.
it.
There's a part where there's a part where somebody else is in the corner of the ring.
Finn.
I didn't want to ruin it for Carl, so there you go. There's a part where
I kind of know what's going
where
down
Finn's
this
in
triple
the
track.
corner of the ring, and Keith Lee just like pops up like slowly in the corner of the camera and just looks over him, and it's so fucking funny.
Great.
It's a good example too of like the most frustrating and also perfect things that WWE does, where they know exactly what spot's coming next, and they'll have like a tag team coming in from like the announcer side, right? And they roll in the ring, and it's all you're seeing is them framed, and then the Usos out of fucking nowhere, like
Like,
double
wipe them out.
double super kick him or
Or
something.
like luzzing Adam Cole into the front of the crowd.
Yeah, or yeah, where
That was wonderful.
where
Going on
Keith
great.
Lee yeeted him into the fourth row.
I like how he's like, one thing I've done is I've turned you into the most viral GIF on the internet. You're welcome. That's wonderful. But yeah, 4 games.
Fair.
Josh,
Okay. So my match number 3 was the only one that I can say was recency bias-ish. It was at the very end of August. NXT TakeOver Cardiff. Walter Bate
That was very close.
was just so fucking good. I was also considering Walter Dunn, but I actually think I preferred the Bate because I forgot how much I liked Bate until I watched it.
Mhm.
And then when I was looking through the matches again today, I was like, yeah. And then he came, and then the most annoying thing is like he came over to NXT and kind of teased being in NXT again, and then he didn't.
I really wish. There's not been a match he's been in that I haven't enjoyed. Like
he's so young too.
I can't decide if they're just working on a visa thing behind closed doors, because like a lot of them do take time, which is for all of them, right? It takes time to get all of them over here. So I don't know, but that is firmly in my number 3. And Water is great. The Imperium is great. Fate is great. There's not much more to say about it. I just thoroughly enjoyed it.
My third one was on August 13th on a SmackDown. And it was Roman Reigns and Buddy Murphy.
Ooh, yeah.
And I went back and watched it. And it was really condensed, like 11 minutes. It really wasn't that much time. It was
the main event, right?
I don't know. The way the crowd was popping, I know that Roman is still like fresh-ish off beating cancer and all that.
Yeah.
You better believe that. But he was really, really over. And it was really funny because every time, whoever was on the offensive was absolutely wrestling like a heel the whole way through. And they do like the hope spot for each person, and then tables would turn, and then it was them working heel again. And the whole match was really just a really well done match, but also what it ended up doing for Buddy Murphy just at large, which is making everybody aware of him that wasn't already. And if y'all haven't, I think y'all probably have, but anybody that's listening, if they haven't, there's a match from like 2.5 years ago that was Buddy Murphy and Shinsuke in NXT. And it was one of the best Shinsuke matches I've ever seen. It was fucking incredible. And that's when I was like, cool, Buddy can fucking go. Because they just broken up the tag team at that point.
Oh, him and Blake.
Mm-hmm.
Buddy is a fucking machine.
Really is. All right, you're number 2, Kyle.
Okay, number 2. Gonna go back to maybe my favorite match from WrestleMania this past year.
Okay.
Kofi versus Daniel Bryan. Really, really fun, and just the way that the crowd was reacting to it, and Kofi finally having his moment, and his kids being out there, Xavier Woods legit crying in the ring because his buddy just finally got to the top of the mountain. And it was an incredibly fun match and incredibly hot too.
It almost killed the show because there was still another hour and a half or something to go. And like it was like a hard middle, and whoever came out after him, God bless him. I can't imagine.
It really hurt the women's match at the end because everybody was just like so dead still from that. It was
because you know what, you're right. It was second before last, right? Because didn't they have a cooler match in between? They threw something right in between it. I want to say because I don't think it was back to back.
It may have been.
I'm gonna freestyle. You keep talking. I'm gonna look at the.
It may have been like Roman versus somebody, or like maybe the Angle Baron.
Well, Roman wasn't in Mania.
Roman was. That's when he was fully out.
Because that's what was interesting when I was looking at matches, just to kind of, and I was going through the Royal Rumble match. And I was like, I might want to put this whole match in. I'm like looking through it, and I was like, where did Roman come in? Where did he leave? And I was like, oh yeah, he was.
Months before.
Yeah.
So that card, this fucking website.
Long.
It's very long.
WrestleMania 35, the pay-per-view. The main event was obviously Becky, Ronda, Charlotte. The matches that happened after Kofi and Daniel Bryan. Samoa Joe Mysterio for 1 minute.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Roman Reigns, Drew McIntyre. He was on Mania.
So he must have come back just before that then?
So he wasn't there for...
Was he out from like October through March or
honestly,
something?
not totally sure.
He came back like February or something.
Yeah.
Drew McIntyre was the first guy he feuded with, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
He's like,
Drew was his first.
They did that, the Shield, like, revisited. You remember?
Yeah, at Fastlane, didn't
Yeah.
they? Against McIntyre, Lashley, and Corbin.
Yeah.
Or some version.
It was Ambrose on his way out too, wasn't it?
Yep.
And
Yeah.
He
And
made
then,
it no secret that he
the
was
Super Show, too, in Australia. They had the Shield, yep. So Roman Reigns, McIntyre, then Triple H, Batista, then Corbin and Baron Corbin, Kurt Angle, greatest match of that card. And then Finn Balor and Bobby Lashley. And then it was Becky, Ronda, Charlotte.
Yeah, so I mean, some of those can definitely be considered coolers.
A lot of them were.
Yeah.
Especially when you had a 25-minute Triple H match.
Yeah, which was a cooler.
Not including entrances, I don't believe.
Yeah, seriously. But yeah, Kingston.
Yeah, it was a phenomenal match.
Kingston and Bryan.
So, funnily enough, my number 2 was the precursor to all of that, the chamber match.
Nice.
Kofi, the rise of Kofi. He replaced Mustafa Ali as a pure, just throw him in because he's reliable Kofi Kingston.
He's gonna do something fun in there. Yeah.
Finally, he got that recognition in the crowd. Man, when it was him and Bryan left, I was proper, I was on the tip of my toes.
There
you go.
And for them to also have it with Samoa Joe, Randy Orton, AJ Styles.
Yeah, it was a
and even Jeff Hardy trying to kill himself.
And Daniel Bryan in that too. It was a stacked chamber.
Well, that was my number 2.
Well, then we can just agree that Kofi has played a big part.
No, it was great. Yeah, it's
Kofi has been something else, and I'm gutted that he's been kind of written off so fast as a main event thing to go straight back to the tag team stuff. Yeah. But now with Woods out, you've kind of got to do it because
were they champs before Woods got hurt or after?
After. I'm pretty sure it was just after.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
I feel like that was almost cool, we'll pin it on them for now, see how bad this injury is and see what happens. And it turns out that the Achilles is a dangerous place to cut.
Pretty bad injury,
and Xavier's not getting any younger either, right? Isn't he
my age?
Is he our age?
Yeah,
I thought he was a couple of years younger, but either way.
Him and Cody are our age, yeah.
He and Cody
Rhodes.
Because they were
in high school.
That's cool. So yeah, that was my number 2 and Marty's number 2 as well. So I guess we do a reverse card.
So Cody Rhodes is 34.
Okay, so yeah.
And Xavier's 33.
Yeah. Oh, all right, that's a big difference. I said 35. In which case, I take it back.
Then again, AJ Styles is how old? Nowadays.
Yeah. He's 43-ish or something like that.
Brad Maddox is 35 years old because people also search for. What do you think Xavier Woods and Brad Maddox are searching?
I don't know. I'd like to. I want you guys to both ring in first.
Well, sure.
I don't know, but did y'all see the clip of Paige asking Seth Rollins? I don't know what the conversation was even about, but that she needed more juice from him, and someone zoomed in on Booker T, who was on the panel at the same time. Booker T just did a hard blink and looking off to the side.
Pure trial to piss himself out. He was just Jesus Christ.
Booker T didn't see that. Booker T knows. Oh, Booker T knows way too much.
So your number 1 match of the year?
Number 1 match
I'm worried this is going to be all 3 of us.
I have a very... I think it might be...
You want to say it all at the same time to see?
Do we want to do what event it was at?
Are we doing the full name of the event?
Yes.
All right. We'll do 3, 2, 1, and then we'll say the name. Okay.
Okay.
3, 2, 1. NXT
Takeover New York.
Ooh, okay.
So y'all both New York.
I think we have the same one.
Yeah.
Okay, so you go ahead. I knew this. It was bound to happen.
Adam Cole, Johnny Gargano, 2 out of 3 falls match.
Yep.
That was at Toronto, I thought.
No, that was New York. That was WrestleMania weekend, bro.
They had a rematch in Toronto.
And that's when Cole won it.
Mm-hmm.
Which was also a great match.
Also wonderful. But give me the 2 out of 3 falls.
But the 2 out of 3 falls is the first time I've marked out a 13-year-old.
Okay. You hid behind the couch. You said.
I was behind the couch.
This one was also 2 out of 3 falls, but it was with the third match being the barbed. It was
they were all different themes, weren't they?
They're all different gimmicks. Okay, y'all talk about y'all. I'm sorry. First.
I
guess we could talk about the whole series, honestly, because it happened over this year.
Yeah. It was... It's something that we've come to expect now from NXT. They just kind of put out these bangers of matches on their pay-per-view.
Well, we just substituted Ciampa for Cole from last year's show. Because it was Ciampa, Gargano, and
that was our match of the year last year. By consensus.
I think
it was one of the Gargano-Ciampa matches each of us had.
Yeah. Yeah, I think one of us had the New Orleans one, and one of us had the Chicago one, or something like that. Mm-hmm. But we all had one of them in our top 3.
Yeah. But Adam Cole, Gargano put on a show like no other, beat the absolute hell out of each other. It was nice seeing Gargano get that vindication at WrestleMania weekend. And then let Cole get it back later.
Because I think a lot of us at the time thought he was going to probably lose because he was headed to the main roster.
That's what
Because that's when they were teasing that shit.
Yeah,
With Black, Ricochet, Ciampa, and Gargano, right?
Mhm.
All were bouncing to and from.
And then Ciampa got hurt.
Yeah.
And that threw everything off for those two.
And
Because weren't
then,
they teasing like a time to tag, like, kind
They
of
were
DIY,
they were a tag team on the main roster.
They were like teasing like
a week
go
or something,
back.
and then he got hurt.
yeah.
The underrated part of that match that you're talking about, the one on Mania weekend, was when Undisputed came to interfere and Gargano did like the superhero spot where he slungshot off of Roddy to kick Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish or whatever. Like it was insanely smooth.
It was unreal.
Yeah, it was really, really, really great.
And then at the very end, and Gargano's out there with Candice LeRae and Ciampa's music hit and came out there. Gave
Like
a hug.
pure chills too.
Yeah.
Like it was, so
It's
good.
great.
Yeah, they flashed the bullshit NXT things. You didn't know what was going to happen. Fucking
Yeah.
hate that.
They're the
They know it now, too.
They know what they're fucking doing, man.
Drives me nuts.
They used to do that in the old days. It's been a while.
They
Since
did it. They did it at Hell in a Cell with the fucking Fiend Rollins match, and like they flashed it, and then all of a sudden Rollins is bleeding from the mouth because the Fiend's back up.
Yeah.
But God, they did it at Night of Champions, but we were there.
Yeah. They did, didn't they?
They've been doing it a lot more recently. They seem to have turned that on. Like maybe it's a bit of that like AEW bit where they're like trying to look at what worked in the Attitude Era and they're like doing that shit again, like false selling you finishes. I mean, they did it in NXT not too long ago. Remember when like Finn and everyone came out at the end?
I mean, that's kind
I
of.
think it was you thought it was about done. You were like, "What a great show!" And I was like,
Oh yeah,
I don't trust them. And then like we were like, "Fuck!" Like right after.
Yeah, when it was Ciampa Gargano
turned
coming out,
on.
and you think Finn's the third man, and
It was
it's
like the first thing I was like, I don't trust them straight away because I was like, this isn't look right.
And Finn straight up Pele kicking the shit out of
What a kick
Gargano.
that was! No wonder Gargano's out.
that would probably be my best moment of the year. That's got to be close up there.
What are the Finn things?
Finn doing the turn on Gargano, or maybe the first time that the Fiend ever came out, and just how the lights all killed, like
Oh, the
in
SummerSlam
stages.
match
Yeah,
with him actually coming out and them nailing his music and
Yeah, that too. I was thinking the first time that like it started like as if like the music was breaking and they were doing the lights. It was like
because it was Finn. Was Finn the
Yeah, I
first
think it was
person he
Finn,
attacked? Yeah, because it was his song that was going.
Yeah.
It's like it was a record player skipping off.
Yeah. It was so great.
yeah, that was wonderful. Also, do we want to do moments of the year? I mean,
I kind of did mine. If you want to, because
I got two. I mean, one of them is from backstage, and it was CM Punk coming out. Like nobody knew that was happening. It seemed like that was off the
One of the
books.
best kept secrets they've
Yeah.
had for a long time.
well, there was the Fox rumor like a month and a half before, but then there was nothing.
Yeah,
It was
there's
complete
rumors,
silence.
yeah, there've been rumors for a while with Fox getting it because they've been saying like, won't he do something like? And then it really did.
Why would he? Because he didn't want to work with WWE, even though he'd be with Fox or whatever.
Yeah.
And then they really went hard. Like all the dirt sheets went hard on insisting he was going to be at Full Gear.
Yeah.
Like which then threw them off the set entirely for the whole backstage thing.
Yeah, 'cause he
a
did
week later.
Because he did an autograph signing, didn't he? Like that
Yeah,
weekend.
Starcast.
And-
Yeah.
He actually showed up to that Starcast for the first time or something like that.
And just hearing that music hit again, yeah, that was a great moment.
Well, and you can, for as much as like, I know Kyle's out on it, and I'm probably 20% in on it, but a new promotion starting is a pretty big moment. Although it's been kind of a year in the making, that's probably the only downside. Is that
It's been a slow boil.
yeah,
But I guess like in this day and age, it has to be a slow. There's no way you can
Sure.
just go surprise.
Yeah,
like
it's-
they have to build a following.
we're seeing the at least the creation of one promotion, the death of Ring of Honor probably, and Impact by all accounts has been great, but no one has time for it anymore now because
And NWA and weird.
NWA doing their weird bit, but NWA's doing like the Lucha Underground bit, where
Yeah,
like,
they're-
they're so niche that it's perfect
So
for what they
Jim
are.
Cornette on the commentary making random racist
But they also,
connotations.
but it's what's interesting is I haven't heard, and it's probably because of time away from the company. I don't hear NWA is just taking old WWE washouts, taking now Wade Barrett's on commentary. You said right,
yes,
and
which is
Aaron Stevens, aka
Damien Sandow.
Damien Sandow.
oh he's over there, is he?
Yeah, he's
Oh, Mizdow.
yeah he's doing. I've seen a few interviews. He's doing a pretty great gimmick.
That was one of the worst things to happen in wrestling in that period when they didn't give him the Money in the Bank and they had Cena being with one arm.
Oh my god!
Never have been more annoyed.
Because there was nothing better than Mizdow selling like
All the misses.
I saw
it
on the outside.
I saw it live when I went to one of the shows, and genuinely, Sarah and I were crying, laughing at how funny he was on the side.
He was taking bumps.
Such an entertainer.
What's your match of the year? We haven't even hit your match of the year.
It was Gargano Cole, but with the third match being the barbed wire.
The gimmick matches.
Yeah, where they went through like the double table.
Well, they were all gimmicks. One of them no disqualification, and the other one was full count anywhere.
First one was a singles match, and Gargano was disqualified.
Yeah,
Second
because
ball
wasn't
was
the first thing that Gargano did was grab a weapon and beat the fuck out of him?
he just And the second match was a street fight, and then the third was
the cage.
the barbed wire steel cage match.
Yeah.
My other moment though would have been also recency bias, but the weekend that was won by Rhea Ripley.
Yeah.
That's a big one for me, just because it puts somebody in there that can actually go toe to toe with Baszler.
Well, let's skip to the tag team of the year. We spoke just briefly about it before we started hitting record, but
do you want to
this is the one I had the hardest time with.
Well, why don't you go? Because you didn't really get to do a match of the year.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So mine was. No, I mean, I knew picking it. I was trying to find something. I was scrambling, which is how I was like, oh yeah, Roman Reigns' buddy, and then I gave up. I was like, I like my list now. My tag team, Street Profits, and I don't know if there's a right or wrong answer because WWE's done so poor with them, and AEW for everything they have done, it's been on such a short window that I don't feel confident saying like Best Friends or Phoenix and Pentagon or Young Bucks even. So I went with Street Profits because not only being NXT champions, but also being what was kind of the first introduction regularly on SmackDown and Raw with an NXT champion, at least this year before they did the Fox split, and then how entertaining they were in those backstage segments. Like that was the only time I've ever really, really paid attention when it was like post-match, pre-commercial, and instead of some spare-ass interview, it was them just doing their bits backstage. So, not total... you know what? And seeing them live. Seeing them live.
They were a lot of fun.
Because they were fantastic live.
They were.
And Angelo Dawkins' spear gets better by the day.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Kyle?
I'm joining you on Street Profits.
I was worried that because there's not because like I was like I'd love for it to be the Revival, but like really they haven't. I'd love for it to be the Usos, but they keep drinking and driving.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, the Revival had an okay year, but they still consistently get pushed down the card again,
and they still do get made to look like a joke every now and again,
exactly.
and that ruins everything.
Mm-hmm. I really even though I don't watch much of AEW at all, Best Friends has been incredibly fun.
Best Friends is great.
I also enjoy their friendship with Orange Cassidy because Orange Cassidy, his bit is real funny to me.
Yeah,
diving off with his hands in his pockets.
That is so great.
What is your choice?
So my choice is, can you guess? I feel like you want to...
O'Reilly Fish?
No.
Because I was just going to say, now that I'm thinking about it, O'Reilly Fish probably would be, like, if I had to do, since they both had Street Profits and I had to change it again, it'd be O'Reilly
I was
Fish.
genuinely tempted to just sweep the Undisputed Era across the board on all of my stuff.
Was it
been so great.
Tough not to.
But my...
Was it Luchasaurus and Dragon Ball and
No.
Jungle Boy?
No. My tag of the year aren't WWE, though. And I'm sure you can probably guess who they are now.
Who, the Young Bucks?
It's the Private Party, dude.
See,
When I saw them at like Fyter Fest or whatever, I was like, they're really cool. And then they were again at like the pre-show, which is the only bit of the show I watched for like All Out, because I didn't want to pay the money. So I watched it. I was like, oh, they're still sick. And then they came in and they're the only tag team that I can remember being excited about. And I'm not including Undisputed Era in that because I consider them a 4. I'm infinitely more excited about them.
Right.
But like Private Party, I've sang their praises to you non-stop. Like, I am a huge fan.
It is interesting though that we went Street Profits, and
then
great
Profits.
value Street Profits.
It really is. It really
and
is.
then
I found that quite funny.
No, we have Street Profits at home.
Like, it really was just baby Street Profits.
No, they've been
Street
great.
Profits.
I'm curious what it looks like for them down the road, because I don't know if I've seen a match with them yet where they have a lot of hope spots because AEW is so bang, bang, bang with their tag teams.
Yeah, they're super choreographed still.
But I'd love to see like what it looks like with them against a Revival. Like, the way that Enzo and Cass wasn't anything special until they started fighting someone like the Revival or someone with a slow twitch, as it were, on the match, and like really kind of
Slow it down.
forcing them to like wrestle versus spots.
Do what the Revival did for DIY to,
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I was looking at that history earlier and I wanted to watch it, but I didn't have time because today's been busy and I thought, but they actually faced the Hardy Boys in 2016.
Really?
And think
Well,
about
they got trained by them, didn't they? Didn't we look
I
at
think
that?
they did,
or was
yeah.
it no?
Does that
Because they were
the
trained
other
by that
one.
amazing red guy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because it was in House of Glory that they lost their tag team championships to the Hardy Boys. And that was like
That'd be really
2016.
interesting.
I would love to watch it, but I just didn't have time today. Because, think about how young they were then. One of them must have been 18 and 21, I think they must have been.
Wow.
Like, facing the Hardy
Yeah,
Boys.
because one of them just now is 21.
Just
right?
like
When we were looking at
because we were like, oh, cool, he can finally drink at the third pay-per-view of AEW.
He can finally go to this private party.
Yeah.
that he's supposed to
Yeah,
go to.
they're giving, because I think that's what brought it up.
wristband.
Because they had the bouncer when we went to the show. They had the bouncer doing like the red line bit, and I was like, "What if this dude could even get in?" That's when we started looking at their ages.
That'd be a great bit if they just stopped him every time before he hit 21.
Yeah,
It's always a handicap match.
His bit was trying to get him behind.
And he just has to watch the match from the top of the stage,
And he tries to interfere, and the bouncer just keeping him back.
Yeah, he's like trying to crawl
God,
past.
that would be great.
It's like a Night at the Roxbury, but a tag team.
Such an elaborate bit.
You know, do female wrestler of the year or male wrestler of the year? Because I feel like male wrestler of the year is less likely to have an overlap.
Let's do Woman of the Year anyway.
Okay.
And then do Man of the Year.
Josh, you start this one.
Woman of the Year. So there was an obvious one, but I didn't want to give it to him because I think someone else has had a better year.
Ronda Rousey.
Pound for pound. Shayna Baszler is my Woman of the Year. She's been champion almost all year. She's beaten and elevated. Elevated is the key word. She's beaten and elevated to new levels. Bianca Belair, Io, who was all great. Like, Io Shirai was liked, but like, she's the one that put her on the map. Like that.
And helped snap her into...
Yeah.
She just literally did it last night to Xia Li.
Dakota Kai, the War Games match, she was integral in uplift.
God,
She provided Rhea
She did it to Mia Yim?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She has elevated non-stop people. She's made submissions scary again, which is something I love. Like, I fucking love a good submission. So that's like a big thing for me.
And there was this weird moment when the same time that the Four Horsemen women got moved up to the main roster, and everyone else that was below them, like Carmella was still in NXT and everything, but the only finisher for a female to have was submission. But it was always kind of like a weird submission. Like Carmella's was like the weird like headlock takedown with her feet and then like bridging back up to like a weird like choke. It was always kind of weird gimmick submissions. Hell, Asuka with the arm, the Asuka lock.
Yeah.
Like and somehow, for me, it got old quick because it was like cool, these weird gimmicky holds versus like just cool, a really good armbar or the four. You know, Bailey was the only one. She had the Bailey to belly.
And I hate that finisher. That's
Me
probably
too.
my least favorite.
Kind of like the
finisher
new
of
one
all
that
time.
she did to like
To Shayna, like on the top of the ramp. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really sharp. But
it's like a flatliner.
But Shayna made that submission, like you said, strong as hell, and they have made it one of the scariest locks, like in wrestling, or most protected. She locks it in. No one's ever really gotten out.
I don't think they have. Like her
Only
and the
one
figure
person.
eight.
Ripley.
Yeah,
Oh, Rhea,
And she used some handcuffs to do it.
yeah. Because there have been people who broke out, but never survived it. Like, it's never been fully locked in. Because Bianca had a bit, didn't she? Because she was so big.
Yeah, because she picked her up on her back right during the
and
match.
broke out of it and like pushed her back or whatever, and then she just like relocked it and she was
And
done.
Bianca she was not as sharp as she is now when
No.
she was in that match.
And that's my thing. Like, that's why I've picked her as my woman.
She is the queen of an extremely strong division right now.
And she won the Survivor Series match. recency bias aside,
Yeah.
like that is huge. Like she went toe to toe with Becky and Bailey, and they decided that Shayna was the woman to stand tall, despite the bullshit ending of like, no, but Becky is actually standing tall because this is how we're finishing the pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Who got the 3 count? Like, that's a pretty cool thing to have for her too.
A sidebar on that Survivor Series match. They did face-to-face with Charlotte and Rhea, didn't they? I think.
I'm not sure.
I think that at one point all of the captains from the women's teams got in there.
Well, there was someone that I remember Charlotte laughing at somebody like, and it might, it might have been like Io that was shorter, and Io was like stiff as hell with her, something like that. Whatever it was.
Could be Candice too, to be fair. It's the sort of person that
I
Charlotte
feel like it
would
was a
laugh
rough
at.
person. I feel like it was Rhea. Either way,
Yeah.
God, that match made me want to see so much more women's wrestling between like the
All of
interdivision
the
because
girls,
there's
Yeah.
except for half the SmackDown team.
Almost all the SmackDown team.
Yeah, I mean like who was on that side? It was Becky.
No, she
No.
was Raw. It
Hold
was
on.
Sasha was there.
Sasha?
Sasha. She's
Dana
Career
Brooke.
Ender Banks,
Lacey Evans,
Lacey.
Natalia,
Carmella,
Dana Brooke.
and Carmella.
So give me Sasha. I don't even know. If
I mean, in fairness, you have the greatest wrestler of all time on that team.
Dana
right?
Brooke,
Dana
right?
Brooke.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
that's actually my female of the year. I'll go ahead and segue.
It's actually my wrestler of the decade.
Dana Brooke will work with Titus Worldwide wrestler of the decade. My
She
female,
orchestrated the slip.
my female of the year. I decided to do the obvious pick, and it's Becky Lynch. And the man bit I credit as being more of last year's thing because that's kind of how that ended right into to this year, and it's continued, which is cool. But her having both titles and being the only person to ever do that is cool as shit. And
Becky
her
2
also,
belts.
yeah, Becky 2 belts, and really headlining WrestleMania, even needing in air quotes Ronda and Charlotte in that match. Becky's my number one, probably.
Yeah.
Not probably is. Second place was Shayna though. I had Shayna in the chamber in case y'all both like picked Becky. I was like, all right, I'll set for audible.
I've got to go Becky as well. They're one.
I mean, I knew it was coming.
They're
so
one
I
and
thought I
two.
would just
See, I figured Rhea was coming, and that's also why I was trying to hedge my bets.
too
because-
late.
Yeah.
I know that's part of it.
Too little, too late right now. I mean, she's
Yeah.
just getting started. Now, next year might be
2020
her,
may be the year of
her
her
year.
though.
Yeah.
Her
Considering
Tony
she's
Storm
like-
looks like she might be getting a push at some point. So that's we could see what's going to happen next year. But right now, it's honestly 1A, 1B with Baszler and Becky Lynch. I've got to give it to Becky though. Headlining WrestleMania,
Yep.
2 belts, and continuing to hold the belt for as long as she has. Them not jumping off that train consistently. Putting her on the front of even though the game was terrible, putting her on the front. That's,
Yeah, it's not her fault the game's terrible.
Yeah,
Right.
she wasn't a fucking developer. So
I mean, fuck me, WWE probably didn't know the game was terrible.
No doubt. There's no doubt they had.
They were putting her on the front cover, intending that to be a huge thing for her.
With the amount of money they spent on the commercials for it, or that they
God, yeah.
that they had to make
They
phone calls for
that
2K
shit
to do it, like you don't spend that kind of money getting every single person on there,
Yeah.
thinking it's going to be a bad game.
Yeah.
It just was.
Yep.
Or is. Okay. Male wrestler of the
Male
year.
wrestler of the year. You want me to go first?
Sure.
Adam Cole, baby.
I love that I
That's-
actually have Bebe in my line here.
Oh, good.
as well.
As much as last year was very Gargano heavy, because he was amazing last year. This has been the year of they finally gave it to Cole, and he's run with it, and he's been wonderful. And I know that this is recent, a little bit recent, but the fact that the gauntlet that he just went through promoting Survivor Series
Oh, yeah.
and War Games, going to 3 shows a week, live shows,
Yeah.
and working every match, then going to War Games, getting put through a table, and then going out the next night and having a championship
Yeah.
match.
Not just put through a table, but drop like 20 feet or
Yeah.
15 or whatever feet off
Yeah,
the damn thing on his back and neck.
yeah. I gotta give it to him.
So Adam Cole is for you as well then?
Yeah, like you said, and even if you want to go further back, he won the title for the first time properly. Thank God, he's my match of the year. Great, best faction in wrestling. He beat Daniel Bryan clean on the main roster. He main evented halftime. He
Yep. Oh man, halftime heat.
Like they picked out halftime heat to promote NXT, and who did they?
That was
put in the
almost
main
my
event?
top 3 match.
Adam Cole. Like
That
that
match
was
was
one of
fun
my
as
that
hell.
was on my short list too.
That was
Like-
a fun match.
And it also almost, because I was thinking, I guess it's injury, right? But Dream would have been close up there.
Mhm.
Up to that point, he got hurt, and then
Yeah,
He
because
got-
some
got
of his
shuffled
feuds
aside.
were just
his
his Roddy Strong bit was.
yeah, I think somewhere in the middle for NXT. After Cole, it's somewhere a tie between like your Gargano, Strong, Velveteen,
Kofi.
Walter.
Walter, maybe,
Walters.
but that's still a late push for me
Yeah.
just because
Kofi has got to be in your talk for.
I just meant for
Oh, it's
NXT. Yeah, just like Mike
okay,
Conley.
never mind.
Because Adam Cole's my second place. My main is Seth Rollins. I'm going proper Seth Rollins and Becky. And from him winning the Rumble on, I think he's been the most valuable person on all of it. And despite some of the feuds me not caring about or whatever else, I think he's not mine. He was almost my wrestler of the decade. Because when I started watching again, it
He
was
was on my list.
it was right before the Mania that he cashed in, and I got to see his skill run and everything else. So there's still like that.
Was so fucking
There's
fun,
still some of
dude.
that bias in there, but for me, Rollins, because he has been doing what Adam Cole did in the last month and a half, but for WWE for the entire year.
And my issue with Rollins is that like that build to WrestleMania was great. Afterwards, he really fell off to the point where they took the belt off him again, and then had him build up to beat Lesnar again. You
And
know,
there's like cringy ass tweets too. Like, I know that I shouldn't fact.
Oh no,
that
the
in,
money,
but,
the
like,
money bit, the one that where he was mouthing off to Will Ospreay.
yeah.
Was it that one?
Yeah,
there was a couple. To be fair, he's done it a few times, and like,
saying that you're not as big a draw as me and stuff. Yeah,
and then having the part where he was like literally just Becky's boyfriend for a bit. They're the reasons why he didn't make it for me for this year.
See,
He was
for me,
a lot closer to decade.
for
than
me,
he
it
was
felt
here.
less like he was Becky's girlfriend and more like
Well,
she
that'd be
was
up.
his. I mean,
Is he neither of
did
us?
I word it wrong? It was less he was Becky's boyfriend and more that she was his girlfriend. That's what it felt like to me during that push.
I thought it was the other way around. I thought they were really just pushing like, oh yeah, and Seth, her boyfriend,
And you know what?
which isn't a bad thing.
And
because they've done that
not
the
a
same
bit
way.
honorable mention is Baron Corbin because he also has been like the linchpin for so much that went on before the split with Fox.
Right, whether
He was-
it's been good or not, or whether I've enjoyed it or not, he has had a lot.
He's had to do it, and he's done, and he's like
and he's
Held
just
his
going
own
out there,
mic,
and he's
and
been told to go out there and just be a dick
and draw heat, and
Yeah.
he does draw heat everywhere.
See what he's doing? He's doing the Miz's job of 2015, 2016. A thankless job of working hard every night and coming across and getting as much heat as he can.
Yeah.
Because that's what the Miz used to do.
Yeah, Baron Corbin is high up there, and he was already kind of high up there for me. And then when there was a lot of the McMahon talk, right when they got rid of him as a GM and stuff, and he had to be in the ring and talking with him, Trips, and then the McMahons, and he held his own like the entire time.
Yeah.
It was impressive. Is that everybody's male wrestler of the year?
Yeah.
We did it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
I mean, we just had Cole each, so it was...
Okay, cool. Okay, that's what I thought I was missing somebody. Wrestler of the decade.
do you want me to go first?
Yeah, sure.
I know whoever's going to have Punk, just go ahead. You start.
Okay, I don't have Punk.
I don't know. Punk.
What? That is unbelievable. I go to guess for sure. Well, I guess I'm the one that has Punk then.
Fuck off.
Kyle, you go first. I'll go second. You go third.
Okay.
Or should I go first? I've watched it less this decade.
One of
than
you
y'all.
fuckers are defo gonna have mine anyway, so
No, I don't
steal
think we
my
will.
thunder.
I'll go first because I've watched the least this decade. I think.
Okay.
Okay. Kevin Owens. And
See yours? So we've not got the same at least.
cool.
That's at least one for
So
one.
as I got back into wrestling via Kyle's suggestion, because it was like Wyatt family still towards the end of that whole bit.
And I told you to watch NXT.
Mm-hmm. No, you know what? Yes. And so Kevin Owens wasn't in NXT yet.
It was the NXT takeover that I watched was the one where Zayn beat
And he
Neville,
came out and powerbombed.
and that was the first one that I ever watched, and that's the one I told you to watch.
And then he powerbombed him on the apron, right?
Mhm.
God, that was great.
So I was watching. Was that the year before? Either way, whatever it ended up being. So I started watching wrestling again, and as I was getting interested, and I jumped on Reddit because I'd been on Reddit and learning about like just other promotions in general that I'd missed out on. And I downloaded a shit ton of matches, like old PWG stuff, old Ring of Honor / New Japan Super Show stuff, and these were in the teens. And every single time Kevin Owens, then Kevin Steen came up, and it was Kevin Steen against Shinsuke. And it's the first time I ever saw Shinsuke. It was the second time I'd seen Kevin Steen, and then it was Kevin Steen and El Generico in PWG, and it was Kevin Steen versus El Generico in Ring of Honor and PWG. And it was them two putting over the Young Bucks in PWG and making the Young Bucks what they are. But here's what he did this decade. Ring of Honor World Champion, Ring of Honor Tag Team Champion, PWG World Champion, PWG Tag Team Champion, NXT Championship, WWE Universal, United States, and Intercontinental Championship. And the defining moment for me was him answering John Cena's U.S. Open challenge.
Oh, when he was NXT champion.
And
give it to me in my veins.
And it might have been, it's the first one that I at least remember that was a call-up like that. Because it wasn't a direct call-up yet, I don't think.
No.
And they ended up wrestling at, maybe it was Elimination Chamber in Corpus Christi. And he was NXT champ still,
so
right?
He wasn't called up at all.
And
it was just him.
And he came out and beat up John Cena and then stepped on his title. And I remember, like, really specifically, like, that whole thing and how much I popped for it. So yeah, Kevin Owens / Kevin Steen is my wrestler of the decade.
All right.
Did I steal it either? Used?
Nope.
No, that's a great.
My wrestler of the decade actually also enjoys beating up John Cena. AJ Styles.
Carl Anderson.
It's Brock Lesnar.
I mean, if you look at the entire decade, he went from TNA Impact, being the main guy there, saying, hey, you know what, screw it, I'm leaving, goes to Japan, gets into Bullet Club, does that whole deal, says, you know what, I'm leaving, shows up.
Elevates the Bullet Club higher than when Finn was there, too.
Mm-hmm.
It should be noted. And maybe that was just a timing situation, but...
I mean, yeah, it was on the rise, right?
Yeah. Then signs to WWE, shocks everybody when he comes out at that Royal Rumble. Because even though people knew he'd signed, they didn't think he's going to just show up and go.
Yeah, no, that was great.
Went on a great run with Jericho, did all of that, won the WWE Championship against all odds because nobody thought that Vince was going to ever push a guy that had been with every other company in the world except for them. And he was the champ that ran the camp. I mean, he's been great. He's been wonderful.
Runs the camp.
And to be doing it at such a high level at this age and still putting people over and just having great matches. He's the guy.
He's probably the greatest former WCW wrestler in a WWE ring.
Probably, yeah.
Because he wrestled for him like for just that last year.
Yeah.
It's an up and comer.
Did he?
Yeah. He was on like one of the final Nitros or something like that.
Was he?
Very young.
I had no idea.
Yeah, he was baby.
Because I remember when he was, I've listened to a couple of interviews of his when he said he was like at the Performance Center in WWE or WWF back in the day, and they offered him like a contract, and he said no, and then went to like fucked around for a bit, and then went to Impact.
Yeah, because he did PWG at the very beginning. Because there's old clips you'll see of him now where like he got beat on a PWG match, and I forget who he was wrestling because I'd never heard of the guy or before or since. And the guy cut the 316 promo on him because AJ Styles is a god freak, a Jesus freak. And AJ Styles ripped the mic and got like actually heated. It was like, don't you talk about my God like that. And like really getting like fucking fired up. Like it wasn't like he was a
gay
super
community.
pissed. The gay community.
God. AJ Styles, what a guy.
It's the biggest the biggest bummer about AJ Styles is that we didn't get a chance to see him for 10 years.
In like mainstream.
In mainstream. And then there's also like the other flip side is if we did, would he be where he's at now ever in that run?
No, I think
See
right.
Kofi. It took Kofi however long, right?
Yeah. It took him 4 years of wrestling Dolph Ziggler and Randy Orton.
And Drew McIntyre.
God, that was.
And then back to Dolph Ziggler. And a little bit of the Miz, but then back to
wasn't
Dolph
even
Ziggler.
allowed to be Ghanaian, had to be Jamaican. For the longest time.
Accent killed his own.
Had to deform his own chest for me. Imagine if he faced Walter. Alright, so I'll finish this off. And let me go through my reasoning when I get this name out. So my wrestler of the decade is Finn Balor. And here's why. So I was thinking, because I've wrote this down. So I was thinking of a few on the short list. AJ Styles, Cody, and I'll go into why. AJ Styles, because of everything you just said. Cody, because he actually had the balls to leave when he had a total sure thing at WWE for the rest of his life if he wanted it.
If you want to be a mid-card hell. For
also made Stardust work.
Yeah.
By the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I didn't really particularly like, but he made it work.
The Stardust, back when Titus O'Neil used to wander into his Star Galaxy room, was some of the funniest vignettes I'd ever seen in my fucking life. It was so great.
Didn't hate it to begin with because it seemed like it was I'm going to be like my brother. It was going to be a weird personality clash. And then it just was
everything post the Amel match. I felt like everything post that is when Stardust really just lost the thread.
And then, of course, he broke off. He performed some excellent shit, whether you like him or not. It seems to have been widely loved. He then got with this elite bit. All in history. Here we are.
Sure.
So he obviously was up there for me in terms of just the impact he had in the wrestling world over the last 10 years, albeit the last 5 was probably where he came out.
And in his dog's life when he brought him out to Pyro.
And that goat that they decided to drag out last week. Poor fucking goat, man. Jericho was also up there because he has had the Festival of Friendship. He's had so many bits, man, everywhere.
Yeah.
He is the first AEW champion. He has carried that company on his back since the minute he got signed to it. His New Japan stuff was fucking brilliant. With Naito and with Omega. I loved it all. Jericho has, despite his list this week, he is breaking the mold all the time. He's great. Another one, Omega, because of his Okada matches. Are we good?
Yeah, I'm just making sure.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. I was just checking.
Omega Okada matches were great. They were the only kind of things I really watched in New Japan for a long time.
It's what got me on New Japan.
Yeah.
Really.
Omega
it wasn't
Okada was
Bullet
the
Club,
only
it was Omega that I heard about.
So Omega Okada was great. He's came over, finally in the US. He's still got plenty of years in him too, which is a big thing. He's had a huge influence being the elite. Big thing too. Pretty much anybody from the Shield was on my list because they were that big throughout the year as well. But when I was looking at all these wikis, because I did this for 3 hours yesterday, for most of these, right, when I looked at where their origins come back to, or why did they succeed in the way they did, AJ was always great, but he was elevated to the next level by the Bullet Club. Who made the Bullet Club?
Yeah.
Finn Balor.
And
Cody made a whole...
We gotta give Carl Anderson some respect on this fucking show.
Cody
he was
made a whole...
Machine Gun Carl Anderson. That's why it's the Bullet Club.
Cody made a whole new promotion. Filled out arenas, broke the mold. But without the Bullet Club, I don't think there's any elite.
I don't think he saved New Japan, but there's no way New Japan is as big as it is now.
Without the Bullet Club.
Exactly.
In my opinion, yeah. Jericho, the same. Jericho has had all the opportunities brought to him with AEW and New Japan, and they're that big because the Bullet Club elevated them. Without the Bullet Club, there's no elite. Without the elite, Omega is still just chilling. They all just tie back to him. He's the OG of the Bullet Club. He had a 292-day reign as NXT champion when he came over. Was an absolute beast. First ever Universal champion. 6 months ago or whatever, 3 months ago, comes back to NXT, being an absolute beast. He put over The Fiend as his first thing there. His injury fucked it a bit, but when you look at his titles he's had, similar to Owens, it is a laundry list of multiple promotions. And he's beaten, he ended Nato's, super long run in New Japan. He's just been a fucking monster. And all of it stems back to the Bullet Club. And so much of what we have now is because of the Bullet Club. They're like the 2010s NWO.
I'd even say, you could almost say DX even.
Or
because
DX.
Of what
A mix of those.
Yeah. I think there's a really interesting part about the Saving New Japan thing. Naito. I've never really felt comfortable saying his name. But he was supposed to be the next babyface for New Japan, and he could never get over. And I think part of the reason is because his heel was Prince Devitt. I'm thinking Neville and so Prince Devitt was so fucking cool.
Yeah.
And that was before the Bullet Club really blew up because I don't think the Bucks were in it yet.
That was a fair bit before they started. That was back when he was doing his shit with the early Wrestle Kingdom bullshit.
Yeah, because Naito hadn't done Los Ingobernables yet because he hadn't turned heel. He hadn't done any of that shit. And I don't know, it's interesting because I think Finn getting hurt when he won the Universal Championship is probably the best thing that happened to him now that you've seen how it's unfolded.
But I also do kind of wonder if he would have been all of us if he would have not been injured. I wonder how high he could have gone. There is part of me that does wonder, if he would have won that, I wonder if this would have been the easiest settlement in the world. And everyone would have just been like, Finn, 2 years Universal Champ. You know what I mean? Who knows?
Multiple runs as the Universal Champ.
He went over hard. Clean.
It was
Did he beat Seth and Roman the same night? Wasn't that what he did? Did he beat Seth and Roman on the same night?
He did on the...
to qualify or whatever?
Qualify, yes.
Which is just
Because they had the final four. It was a fatal four-way.
No, he was just put into the night that he beat Roman was to qualify to get into the Elimination Chamber. No, was to qualify to face Lesnar at Royal Rumble this past year.
Yeah, you're right.
He beat Roman clean before Roman got cancer.
He beat Rusev.
Got cancer.
After.
He beat Rusev, Cesaro, and Kevin Owens in a fatal four-way match to be in with a chance of getting the Universal Championship shot for the first Universal Championship. Yeah. He then faced Roman, who had won a similar fatal four-way match because Seth already had the other spot locked. He then beats Roman and then beats Seth that following.
Yeah, because that was right after they did the draft, and randomly he was the top three.
He was
the first overall. Yeah, it was super high. And everyone's like, what the fuck? Cool, that's really crazy that it even happened. And then in the same time span, him beating Roman and then eventually beating Seth.
Yeah.
Was it him beating Cena, though, then, to face Lesnar?
Have they ever wrestled?
I think so, yeah. I think it was right before Rumble this past year.
Yeah, it may have been.
It was... Because he had to go through, a gauntlet to get into...
he did have to go through
face Lesnar. I'm honestly surprised that your Man of the Decade wasn't Miz.
I was tempted, but he never got the strap.
He did in this decade.
No, I mean after, when they did the brand split. If he would have had a main world title run...
In his prime this decade?
After that SmackDown split, talking smack, if he'd have been given the strap, I would have rocket shipped him to my number one Man of the Decade.
Surprised Daniel Bryan didn't make anybody's list, too. I wasn't here for all
the injury. The injury probably...
Oh, the retirement.
It made Finn's injury look small. He was supposed to be done forever. But, he also won the Tag Team Classic with Samoa Joe.
Finn.
Yeah, all about that.
Yeah. Finn had a great decade.
To me, that's why. But all three of them are they're also smart heaven, aren't they? God.
Yeah.
Our wrestlers of the decade are Finn, AJ Styles, and Kevin Owens. That is just smart heaven.
Playing the hits over here, guys.
Yeah, I mean, it's...
Popping the IWC so
well, because, Miz would have been one of the only WWE creator ones. And that would have been for him to do him, for Josh to have named him having actually won the title after that, his best few years. Cena could probably be there just because he's literally been the face of the company, the biggest wrestling
But he's
company.
been there. I would have said he was probably the wrestler of the decade of 2000s.
If he
when did he start?
2002. I think.
02.
Was it really that?
Because that was when he was basic thugonomics. In fact, he wasn't even basic thugonomics.
He was the prototype.
He was the prototype.
When he came out there and he told Angle that, and Angle asked him why he was going to beat him.
Ruthless aggression.
Yeah, that was in 02.
God, because that's when they ushered in the ruthless aggression era.
Yeah, because he was there.
For some reason, I thought it was more 06.
That's when he did a bunch of stuff on SmackDown. That's where he first had the spinner, was with the US title on SmackDown.
Because it was 03 to 06, he was thugonomics, right? And then from 06 onwards,
he was military man / you can't see me.
Because that's when he had his big fuse with Orton.
Yeah,
he was Fast and Furious, but a wrestler
at that point.
Yeah,
it was Edge and Orton in the mid 2000s, and
because I missed Edge's entire run pretty much. I don't know if you missed my line, but I said John Cena was the Fast and Furious of the wrestlers. Like he's Fast and Furious in wrestler form when he was doing the Thugonomics, whatever.
Yeah.
It feels apt.
She does
For the
feel
time.
that way.
Tough guy with spinner wheels and jorts.
I hated him, dude. I so hated him.
We just come out to the ring just like rapping.
If he hadn't been such a part-time motherfucker, Brock would have been well up there too. Ended the streak, beat up John Cena so bad as that SummerSlam, had the Universal strap for so long, has really put on some great matches too with people like AJ Styles and Finn and a couple of others, but like he just ain't there enough for me.
Yeah.
Like, I couldn't justify it.
He came back early in the decade. You know, it was right after Rock beat Cena.
Yeah.
I think another smart answer
that was a way of making
could be
Cena go over a little bit, because that was when Brock had that first little start of 2010s where he lost to like Triple H, I think, as well.
No, so that would have been like an 11, I think.
Because that was stupid. The way they like had him lose a couple, disappear, and then suddenly beat the streak. Like, it's like, what? The fuck happened here?
I can't believe neither of you said Alberto Del Rio.
That was all right.
I think the only thing he did was beat Paige, wasn't it?
Jeez.
Tell you what, she's had a fucking decade.
I've told you my favorite line that I heard, and it was on the We Watch Wrestling podcast, and it's by the guy who's no longer on that show named Tom Sibley, and he started watching wrestling brand new, and that's when they started the show. Like those two guys are like wrestling historians. He was brand new, and they were talking about the Alberto Del Rio and Paige relationship. He said, "You know what? They look like they probably spit in each other's mouths when they have sex."
And what we know now probably is a good shout.
And yeah, and it's really
probably not a great idea for Alberto Del Rio.
Risque, indeed. Do y'all have anything else before we record next in 2020?
We're not going to record in 2020. We're going to record in 2 weeks, ain't we?
I thought you were going to be gone.
No, it's the Thursday before I fly. I thought we were going to do it on like the Wednesday.
I didn't know we made plans for it, but if we are, then we can.
I think we should if we can.
Sure.
Okay.
Do
My
like
house. You
no.
want to come over to my house? No.
Discord is fine.
Discord is definitely fine because I will be just returning from my trip probably. Yes.
And I will be ready to fly in like a day. So, no.
So both y'all will have your bags packed for different reasons. One's to be unloaded and cleaned.
One's to fuck off.
One's to fuck off. Okay, yeah, then we'll record another one before the end of the year.
I figured we could do some kind of like just coverage of the decade in general outside of wrestling.
Sure.
I don't know what the fuck we're going to do. We can discuss that in the following 10 days. But like, I feel like there's a shit ton of content we can find.
Yeah. Favorite moment?
It'll be like those VH1 shows where it's like,
I love the 90s.
I love the 90s. Yeah. With Ian Michael Black or whatever. Michael
Ian Black and Jericho.
Jericho did one, didn't he?
Jericho did a bunch of them. Seth Green.
Seth fucking Green. What a guy.
Okay, cool. Yeah, then y'all hear from us soon. And have a good one.
Bye-bye.
Pray for Kyle at Universal Studios.
I'll be
Wingardium Leviosa.
Oh.
Is that a real one?
Yes, it is.
Fucking knew I know that's the one.
Oh, not a real fan.
No. No, it's the one that makes shit levitate.
That's what it sounded like. The Leviosa. I have no idea what any of it.
I knew I'd heard that some